Hey everybody, Mrs. Lowe here. This is the first video of probably 3 for this particular lesson. This is Rational Expressions, Equations, and Function Lesson 3, adding and subtracting rational expressions. So we are going to be adding and subtracting rational expressions, and this is done the exact same way that you would add numerical fractions. And that means that you have to have the same denominator in order to add or subtract fractions and therefore rational expressions. So you would add or subtract the numerators once you have the same denominator, and then you write the result over the common denominator. It's always good practice to place your expressions in parentheses, especially when subtracting. This way, remember to distribute the negative sign, which is something we had on our first term exam that a lot of us forgot to do. So we're going to start with a basic problem. This one's already going to have the common denominator. So first you have to ensure both fractions have the common denominator. And if you were to put these in parentheses, this b plus 1 is one expression. It goes together. This 4 minus b is one expression. It goes together. This b plus 2 is one expression, it goes together, and this b plus 2 is one expression that goes together. So the b plus 2's are exactly the same, and that's the denominator, so we can add our numerators now. But before we do that, we want to state our restrictions. Remember, we can't divide by 0. So the value of b that would make the denominator 0 is -2, and that means it is a restriction. B cannot be equal to -2 because then you'd be dividing by 0. So make sure you state your restrictions from the original problem. So we've already added the parentheses to the numerator and the denominator, and that's extremely good practice, and we want to make sure we continue to do that. And now we're going to add our numerators. So it's b plus 1 minus the quantity of 4 minus b. Now what I like to do is just work the numerator separately and then bring in the denominator. So this is the numerator being simplified. I'm distributing the negative. I'm going to add my like terms. So there is what the numerator is equal to, and now I'm going to bring the denominator back into the problem. So the original problem, when added together, gives you 2b minus 3 over b plus 2. Now if I could, I would factor the numerator and see if I could cancel anything out, but there is no common factor between 2b and -3. So we try one more, and then you're going to try b, and then I'm going to end the video there. And so come back with b done, and I'll have the work already set up for you. So here we go. We're going to add these two rational expressions. I have a common denominator. The denominator cannot be 0, and the x value that would make it 0 is, +1. So the restriction in the domain is that x cannot be +1. So I'm just going to work the numerator. I have 4x plus 5 plus 2x minus 3. Notice the parentheses around the terms. Now when I distribute in a positive, it doesn't change the signs, but it's still good practice. So again, I'm just working the numerator. I'm simplifying the numerator, and I get 6x plus 2. Now this does have a common factor. So I do want to factor the numerator because it might happen to cancel with something in the denominator. So there is the numerator factor. I bring back in the denominator. Notice that there is no common factor, but I should leave it in factored form. So there is your final sum of those two. So I want you to try b. In the beginning of the next video, I'll have the workings for this. Make sure you have it on your paper. The second video will cover a little bit harder of a problem.